Hey there folks, and welcome back to the Icenia campaign. Last time, we got things kind of under control here in our nation, well, as best we could, and began to prepare for war with Durotriga. And we are about to start the war here now. Our mercenaries are ready to go. They are fully refilled on morale. Our economy is fully not full of gold. It's actually almost empty of gold. So we're going to have to do a bit of a quick war here. And we have a couple advantages as we start the war here. First of all, Durotriga has no friends. That is handy for sure. In fact, it's quite critical for how we're going to be able to pull this off. All right, the Britannia local power of Durotriga have all rallied together to defend in this war. All right, so the key thing here is we know where the Durotrigan army will be, and that is in Window Claudia. Now, I could have actually set my mercenaries in Lindenus or Aquisilis for possibly a slightly better position at the start, but we're just going to roll in here from Canetio. Canetio is the place I'd be most scared of them occupying, so that's kind of why I set them there. But our goal is to just reach them before they can really run away. They can, of course, run pretty freely into well, really anywhere, into Windomus, into Novus Portus, or anywhere along here, because these are all outside of zones of controls of my forts. But we'll just move in here and hopefully catch them in Window Claudia. Now, I've said before, my goal here is to not even raise my levy in this war. I can if I need to, but I'd only need to for purely positional reasons. I will not need to for numbers reasons. Durotriga is going to have between 1,500 and 2,000 soldiers at most. So let's resume. Now we're going to see where they're coming from. They may be going over into Aquisilis or Lindenus from Window Claudia, or they won't be going anywhere. They're just going to stand there and let me kill them. Well, that's the handiest outcome. I will let them do that. Yeah, we're going to be able to catch them. That's good. And we'll just, hopefully for the first time in the series, actually just win a war that I say we will just win easily. Let's watch this this fight here. We're going to go ahead and kind of rationalize this betrayal of Durotriga by saying, because it's the mercenaries fighting, is it really as much of a betrayal? We're going to just roll with that explanation. Now what do we have here? National tax or loyalty with this guy and he gets money. Well, you know who or girl, my apologies. Well, guy or girl, the money goes to me, so we're just going to go ahead and take that. Now, Durotriga, I think, will flee up there. Now they're going to go run around and siege things. I think it's probably fine. Well, I say that. I don't mind if they siege a bunch of things as long as they don't depopulate. And I'm a little nervous they might depopulate Novus Portus if they enslave the one population there. So, should I go chase them around, which would be very irritating? I might feel compelled to here, because if I can ensure their army is destroyed, I can then pretty much continue the war in relative safety. Or I could raise my levy and send the levy to go fight them, although the levy would spawn without full morale. I think since I'm already... I just want this war to finish without a huge complication like running around with the mercenaries. I think I will just raise the levy after all. I kind of hoped I'd stack wipe them when I arrived, but it can't be helped, so we'll go ahead and raise the levy. Probably the last time we'll be raising the levy from Wenta Econorum. After this war, I will wait to do more future wars that I start until Londinium, our new city, is our new capital, which will happen once we have 95 political influence and are at peace. So, all right, let's go ahead and do our standard thing. Keltrum is getting some gray in his hair. He is almost living to a point of seeing the entire province of Britannia under Kenny control, which is very exciting. Let's do this in the right order. Donwyn is looking pretty solid for 47. She has been a legendary chieftain in terms of chieftain success rates. All right. Let's have you head to Londinium to try and respond to this move here and try and scare them away from my lower population provinces down there. My economy will suffer a little bit more by having my levy raised, but the difference in balance will be so minimal since our levy is still so small. Having the levy up effectively doesn't impact our economy at all at this point. Of course, in the future, when we have larger levies, the effect will increase, so we have to be a little careful with that. All right. All right, let's see what they're doing. They actually look to be going for Novus Portus. They know what I'm scared of. They've been watching this video, and they have an idea. Don't they dare. That would be very irritating. Okay, they're not going to go for it. Are they going for Noe Magus? All right, that's fine. I'll just kill them with this army, and that's that. I can then lower the army. Okay, if that's what you want to do. I wish that this exerted a zone of control, but because it's just a crossing, the zone of control isn't calculated there. What's this? Available decisions. Aha! The tribal reform is now possible. That is because we just hit 40 stability, as I said we would pretty soon. And our centralization is absolutely incredible. I think 100 centralization is the maximum. That would certainly make sense. But this going up to 100 is certainly not going to... Like, us wasting centralization gain is not going to be an issue at that point. I will go ahead and click this one. Adds the tribal reform mission to the mission pool. Now, the phrasing of this does make me feel pretty confident that this will not cancel our current mission, which I do not want to do, because we still can get a few claims and other bonuses from our current mission, which we'll be finishing in the near future. But the mission pool just means when we finish the mission or abandon the current mission, this is just another option that we'll have to select. It is time for people to consider new methods of rule. Foreign ideals flood our country. Can we truly remain a nomadic people? Icenia has wisely enacted investigate tribal reform. All right. And as I hoped, my mission here is not modified at all. Once we finish the mission / abort it, which I would prefer not to do because we lose stability, we will be able to enact the tribal reform. So that's handy. That is now just waiting for us to do. And yeah, that's good. Anyways, okay, they didn't even finish sieging Noe Magus like absolute fools. So we're going to go catch them in this area here. Yeah. This is going good so far. Yeah, follow them around. Arbitrary rewards. A message has been from our arbiter, Inimicus Orgatoris. It seems he has found some loopholes to increase our treasury or give us some more authority in civil matters. It comes a bit suddenly, but in smaller degrees, it probably will not affect the state in a negative way. We should keep an eye on our arbiter and his arbitrary ways. What is this event? Who wrote this? I don't know about this one. Okay, so we can get a big bunch of gold. That is, let's see here, more than, I mean, we have negative balance, or negative income right now, but this is a substantial amount of money. Something to the tune of 2 or 3 years of income at minimum. Donwyn gets a bit of corruption, and this guy gets a bit of corruption. That's not a huge deal. You get 15 political influence. Even though I am the first to say getting lots of political influence usually overcomes everything else, this is not. This is more like 10 turns of political influence as opposed to, or rather 10 months of political influence. So the ratio of benefit is super skewed towards this one. Or lose corruption and lose loyalty for that guy. I'm definitely going to get the gold. Donwyn can survive a little bit of corruption. That's fine. All right, we're going to continue chasing this guy. He may go to Wenta next, or he'll stand there. That's fine. Should be fine. And what is your fort level? It is just fort level 1. Let's check that now. So if we decide to... Ooh. We actually have over 2,000. So I think once this army is destroyed, I might even... Yeah, I think once this army is destroyed, I possibly, maybe, will disband my mercenaries and just use my levy to continue the siege. Because we're safely above the 2,000 requirements, that should be okay. And I'm just... Because previously I've done this, and disaster has ensued, so I'm trying to figure out if I can get away with this. It's a little greedy. Okay, we didn't stack wipe them. Let's follow them closely and try and get them. I think they're going to head back to Wenta. Or head back to Window Claudia? They may be doing that. I suppose we'll see. Because the thing is, I needed the mercenaries because at the start of the war, they had more men than me, or at least I thought they might have. I think we actually may have been a little overcautious in that regard, but that's fine. We actually made back the money we spent just from that event, so not a huge issue. Is this a stack wipe? Oh. That's our stack wipe. All right. Now, just to be extra safe, we're going to literally go onto the siege and double check. Actually, we can't really double check it, can we? All right, we'll get to the siege, take over, and then we'll move the mercenaries into my territory and disband them. It may only save a little bit of money, but unless these guys can pick up an ally somehow. I don't think they can, and I'm not sure who they would ally with. I think they still have... Well, they probably don't have like positive or negative relations with these folks. Also, it looks like... what's going on here? Who is sieging? Brigantia is fighting Parissia. So the Northern Coalition seems to be fracturing a little bit. Brigantia is on the warpath with Parissia and Votadinia. So the Brigantian Parissian coalition has weakened. Or not, actually. It's still in the defensive league with Parissia. That's interesting. I didn't know you could actually be in a defensive league with your enemy. It's a little strange, but at the very least, this means relations between these two nations and also this nation and Votadinia may be breaking down. Possibly... Now, why did Cortania not join the war defensively? Is it because Brigantia is in the league too? That's very cheesy of Brigantia to use their league position to avoid much smaller Parissia having any allies. Very strange. We'll have to revisit what this means for our northern antics in a bit, once we get this war taken care of and get our borders all settled. Yeah, this is just fort level 1. I should be able to move the mercenaries away. Yep, alright, the siege is continuing, that's good. And we'll disband the mercenaries because their army is completely destroyed. They're not going to be able to threaten the siege unless they hire mercenaries, and I can see the closest mercenaries. Any mercenaries they hired elsewhere that's nearby, I could see that as well. If they hired from the Fog of War, the mercs would take so long to reach me, and I would see them, and they'd start off at no morale, so I think it's probably going to be okay, unless this positive % siege takes an enormous amount of time. But we just got water shortage, so I think we should be fine. All right, we're going to expand the mercs. That will deeply improve our economy. There we go, back up to almost our full amount. Again, our raised levy makes such a small difference, it will not matter in that regard. So, going good so far. Sorry, Durotriga. I know this is a little awkward given our long history together, but yeah, I had to do it to you. The border cohesion matters more than matters of the heart, so sorry. I'm so confident in this one, I'm going to even like look around and see what's going on. Looks like Rome and Carthage are either going to fight... Actually, they're fighting Etruria first. But the Rome-Carthage... So basically the First Punic War will happen soon. Just in terms of what's going on down there. I'm trying to think about the timeline of real history when the First Punic War was. I don't think it happened yet in real history. I think we're still a little ways away. I'll have to check that between episodes. I used to know my Roman history pretty well, but I'm distracted and I've kind of forgotten some of those details. Anyways, but now that our actual levy that we raise is 2,500, that actually is great because level 1 forts are now much safer to siege, as a tick of attrition won't mess up our sieging. So this does mean we can rely possibly a bit less on mercenaries, although for the Northern War, mercenaries will absolutely have to play a role. And my aggressive expansion is something I should probably also keep an eye on. Fortunately, that hasn't messed me up so far in terms of the AI getting too drawn into that. All right, we killed 2 population here. What's the population looking like? 4? 4, killing 4 tribesmen. There's only 3 tribesmen. I don't trust this to not depopulate, so we're not going to do it. And also the amount of gold, because this isn't a city, it's just a capital settlement. I think since it's so low population, we won't even chance it, and we'll just take the minimal looting. Let the looting be gentle. All right, that is under control. Let's head to Wenta, and this war will be over momentarily, really. I don't think anything else can really stop us now. Unless Durotriga pulls out a mercenary stack from nowhere, but we can see this one will be unable to work because it's recovering. And this one, if they do hire it, we can hire the northern mercenaries to effectively counter it, and vice versa. If they hire the northern mercenaries, it'll be okay. I'm so excited to not have to worry about Canetio being unfortified ever again. So that will be good. But yeah, Durotriga, they served us well. We used them like a tool to build up our empire, and now the time has come for them to be placed into the dustbin of history where they belong. Okay, we enslaved everybody over here in, what's this place? Wenta. Holy moly. I think we took like 2 slaves there. Okay, lots of slavery going on in our nation there. Once again, I'm a little nervous. This is a bit more substantial of a sack. That's what she said. I can't edit that out because I don't edit these videos. Whatever, you'll have to just enjoy my wonderful joke there. Anyways, so we're gonna go ahead and not pick this because I'm scared of. Well, actually, hold on. Am I scared? There's 9 people. There's 4 freemen, which may be freemen or other people, because this is an actual city here in Wenta. I think we can get away with this. Getting the extra popularity, that happens every way. We need Donwyn to be fairly popular for a lot of our tribal reform missions, so we'll see if that ends up actually being relevant when we get to the tribal reforms, because that may still be a while away, and Donwyn may not even be the leader by then. But anyways, I think I will pick this. This will increase loyalty to Donwyn in the levies, but having loyal levies is less significant than having loyal legionnaire units, in my experience, so none shall hide. All right, we slaughtered one of the citizens and a bunch of other miscellaneous characters, but we're going to turn this to not be a city anyways, so not a huge problem. Let's head back to Canetio and lower our... what's the word? Not lower our levy, but disband our levy. Because I think like raise levy, then lower levy would be like the opposite of that, but that's not the right word. All right, Duratriga. Sorry to do it to you, but gotta get those frontiers closed up, my friend. Go ahead and pass along Duratrigia to Icenia, and Duratrigan Dumnonia to Icenia. And that's that. Alright. The day has finally come. The Protania local power of Duratriga accepted our generous peace offer. There it is. Big Icenia realized at last. The Duratrigan elite. After a protracted conquest, we have finally routed the Duratrigan armies and laid waste their lands. During the sacking of their capital, many important prisoners were taken, many of them having previously held important positions in the Duratrigan clan council. They now languish in our dungeons, awaiting whatever fate we decide to impose upon them. Well, we know what's worked before. This one. This would reduce Donwyn's popularity a little bit, but I think it's probably fine. We could make possibly like 100 gold or so from this, or do something else. That being said, 100 gold is 100 gold. So, we're going to go ahead and just do that. Sorry, Duratriga. I know, maybe of any nation, you'd be the likeliest for me to not do that to because of, you know, our relationship, but we're just... Also, they changed my capital over here, my provincial capital, from Canetio. What jerks. All right. Well, while we're thinking about it, is there another place besides Canetio where the capital would make sense? I mean, Lycomegas is a very solid capital location, I will admit. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, bordering. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Canetio does cut off the coastal lane here, so that is handy. Plus, I mean, we also have to build the city in Canetio before we can fortify it, but it should be fairly safe going forward. Ideally, nothing is coming to Canetio anymore. So, do I want to wait to have the fortified thing until I have the city? I still think so. I will have to spend some loyalty to move it back to Canetio, but I will do that because it is a good location, and also I do want to have it be fortified to protect that wonder, so yeah, that's fine. Anyways, in terms of other stuff to do in this area, let's go ahead and take a look at these buildings, which is to say let's destroy these buildings. Let's destroy these ports. Any other buildings around here? What do we have? A mine? That's fine. What do we have here? Oh, we have the city here. Well, maybe not. Wait, hold on. Before we do that, let's actually manually destroy these buildings for maximum profit. There we go. I did that the right order. We have a fort here in Window Claudia, which I don't think we need to keep here. We can use the location for something else. We have a barracks here. No. We have a farming settlement here. That's good. Okay. Maybe having this be a city would be bad because it's a really good slave location for the farm. And we have a tribal settlement. No. I think that's basically it. And did I do this with these territories up here? I did. Yeah, I'm remembering that I did that. So that's that. The big name has been accomplished with no weird borders. And now we have one frontier aside from the ocean. The northern frontier. Now, let's let the day pass and let our levies be disbanded. All right, so we can actually see what's going on when the levies are raised at our current size. Base tax minus 0.10. That's so minimal, it doesn't matter. Local manpower minus 112. That just affects how much those levies recover themselves, so And then research points minus 2.80. Our research is so minimal right now because we are a tribe. That does not matter, so we'll stand these folks down. We have to wait up to 4 months. That's fine. I doubt we'll be doing the next war in 4 months. We have a lot more prep to do. And we have a lot of money to make. We actually made some money from selling those buildings there. And I think we will do more money making here in a moment. Let's go ahead and sell some of these characters who are probably very outraged at the way fate has treated them. But this is what you get for supporting my tyrannical rise to power in Britannia. You should have known better than to support me in my imperialistic ambitions, so I'm going to punish you accordingly. I'm not trying to roleplay as like an evil person, but, you know, being in this time period, essentially whatever you do is kind of evil. Like, it's hard to be a good person by modern standards in this time period, just given what you have to do to be a ruler. So it is what it is. Anyways, we now have a huge amount of gold, and we're extremely secure for the next war. Now, to prepare for the next war, we're going to need to do some careful timing here. Now, what's really handy about what's going on here, I mean, Brigantia fighting Parissia and Votodinia isn't necessarily good for us in every way. What it does mean, though, and it's also allied with Carwetia, who is also at war. So here's the key thing. This is going to distract Brigantia and Carwetia, who, at least Brigantia, is in the defensive coalition, and I think when they're brought in through the defensive league, they could call in their allies separately. I'm not 100% sure about that, but I am fairly sure. So Cornoia and Coritania are both in the defensive alliance too, with Parissia and then the other, and then Brigantia. They also are allied with each other, so they will only for sure bring each... So, okay, here's essentially what would happen. In terms of who I can declare war on, I have a casus belli on all of the people in the... Basically, I'll show you like this. Everybody who has territory here, or rather everyone who has territory like around here, I have casus bellis on. So I can go to war with any of them, but I'd want my target to be either Cornoia or Coritania, because that's the place I'd have my army first. I think Cornoia is a slightly easier target because their capital is right there, and all of their victory points are like literally border me. It'd be easier to occupy their territory than to occupy the slightly larger Coritania territory. Of course, the issue is if I go to war with anyone in the defensive league, any of the other members would likely join in. And I'm not actually sure if it's a guarantee thing. Yeah, they all get called to arms. I think you can decline a call to arms if you're the AI. So let's see here. I think, let's see here. Yeah, so they would all actually come in. This would be awkward because Brigantia and Parissia would be at war, and Parissia actually might lose the war in a moment here. But at the very least, let's see here. So Brigantia is occupying this. Carwetta borders this, so if Carwetta occupied this, it would go to Carwetta, because Carwetta is also at war with Votodinia. What this means is Brigantia's army is up here, which is not down here, which is important. So Brigantia, whether they actually would want to fight in the war against me or not, their army isn't in position to do so. And they're the nation I was kind of the most scared of, because they have a huge 60 native population, which means a levy based off that. Now, my Icenia population is bigger, so they might have a 5-unit levy, like my 5-unit levy. However, that could still tip the balance quite a bit, because it'd be my 5-unit levy against a 4 or 5-unit levy, probably a 4-unit levy, I mean with Parissia, a 4-unit levy, and a 4 or 5, but probably 4-unit levy. Which means mercenaries would be a must-have, a sure thing, a must-have, unless I was a tactical god with my maneuvering, which we both know I'm not, so as much as I try. So all this is to say, here's how the Northern War will be started. I'm going to go to war with Cornoia over the Debunian claim. Now, as a reminder, the Debunian claim is actually just this section of Cornoia, which means I'd want to go for... oops, let me close this. I'd want to go for Leto Kitum immediately. Now, in terms of the peace deal, like assuming I win the war with my money and my mercenaries, I would eventually, if there wasn't like a hassle to get there. Like the war over here was always going to be winnable. It was just a matter of how long will it take to get there? And I'm glad I kept these forts, by the way, in preparation for this war. Now, I want to get the Making Gains mission, which requires all of Dabunia to be owned by me or my subjects. This could be a claim on Demetia, which is not helpful because Demetia is already under my control. Getting the Dabunia province through the peace deal is the main goal, because completing this means I can immediately complete this, which means I can complete Triumph in Britannia, which means I can then start on the tribal reform and basically prepare for my also previously mentioned Second Northern War, where I finish mopping up the rest of the region of Britannia. I may have said province of Britannia before. That was my mistake. I hope you forgive me. But, so Dabunia is the first target. Of course, in the first war, I can take more than just Dabunia. And in fact, what I'm kind of thinking is I want to take Dabunia and take as much as I can of Cornoia and Coritania. As it is right now, all of this huge border is going to be hard for me to really launch an offensive through. However, if I begin to punch my way north and take a slightly sort of cap off this region, so for example, say I own all the territory along here, and all of this is given to me. Even if I don't take more than that, maybe for war score reasons or whatever, that narrows down my frontier with the north a huge amount and really makes the second follow-up war much easier. Now, the other consideration is, do I take a northern ally to help me out? Previously, I had been thinking I would ally with Votedinia, who was clearly a rival locally of Brigantia, who was the main person I was scared of. However, Votedinia is currently getting their butt kicked by Brigantia and is definitely not in a position to help me on the offensive. If I allied them, they would potentially help me in the defensive way of keeping Brigantia occupied, but the truth is they're already doing that. They're already at war with Brigantia and Carvetia, keeping them preoccupied. Allying them wouldn't actually change anything at all and would just give me a liability in the north. But my previous thing that I mentioned of wanting an ally outside the Britannia region is definitely still true. Now, there's not really any other clear local power in this area. This is a very low population area that would make sense to ally. And the other folks in the sort of, what's it called? Hibernia. No, this Hibernia. Is it Albion? No, what's the... Caledonia, that's right. Caledonia is this part, and Hibernia is this part. Ireland and Scotland. The only other folks in Caledonia are not even bordering my enemies here. I mean, they can cross the non-colonized territories, and they would all probably ally with me if I asked them, because I'm very, very powerful, and they're all scared of me, despite my aggressive expansion. But these folks are not going to really be very impressive. They're all going to be a minimum levy, 4 guy, they're not going to really change anything, right? Not to say that would be a huge problem, because everyone around here is, at these low population levels with only 4 folks. Really, nothing here is super impressive or worth looking into. So we're going to not worry about that. We're going to basically do this war on our own and bring in mercenaries to really pull the weight. Now, when will I do this war? What I'm thinking is I do the war maybe next year. I want a bit more time to build up my treasury and maybe even do a little bit of investing in my nation here. I also want to move my capital before I start the war. I need 100 political influence. This number, by the way, it keeps changing because it's based on the size of your nation, I think. So the number of settlements you have, I think, is what changes this. I may be wrong about this, but that's the only difference from earlier in the episode when it was 95 to now that I have more territory. So we are going to wait until we hit 100 influence, which will put us about a year from now or so, maybe a little less. So actually, it'll be about a year from now or so. So all that being said, that is basically the plan for the next couple episodes as we prepare for and then execute the Northern War, the much repeated thing. The only downside to waiting, this distraction war that Brigantia and the other folks up here are doing may be over by then, and Brigantia may be able to focus on us. And the issue with this is they then bring in Carvetia. Persia might be destroyed, so that removes them from the defensive league. However, Carvetia, as Brigantia's ally, may now be in play, which adds another 4 stack. Plus, all these different nations will have individual treasuries and can possibly hire mercenaries, which means we'll have to be extremely careful. I may, in fact, have to hire these mercenaries specifically so that Cornoia, who is hosting them, doesn't get any ideas. And if any of them hire mercenaries from my south, that would be a huge issue. We may, in fact, have to actually hire multiple mercenary groups just to stop them from hiring them. Or what we could do as well is start the war sooner while these mercenaries aren't recovered, so they're not in play. These mercs are almost recovered. I think there are 6,000 in total, so almost recovered. These folks are ready to go. So a lot of strategic decisions to make here. This is going to be the biggest and most complicated war we've done so far, but this is what I have been expecting for quite some time now. I knew that I could pick off the other folks in the south a bit more easily with Duratriga's help, to be frank. But I knew that the Northern War that would eventually have to happen to secure the region would be a huge, complicated mess because of just what's going on up here. But that is basically going to be it for this episode. I know this was a very early and quick, decisive war, and then 10 minutes or so of just kind of exposition and speculating. But I wanted to lay out my thought process for this Northern War so that you understand, as the viewer, what I basically want to accomplish here. I feel like in the first episode, which I just recently rewatched out of curiosity, I made a big deal about how much I'd be speaking through and vocalizing my thinking, and I feel like I've kind of sort of accomplished that as I've done the series, but sometimes it's been a hit or miss. I sometimes will comment on things and kind of not explain or not really, go into what I mean by those things. So I want to be a bit better about explaining my thinking. You're watching this series presumably because you enjoy that level of grand strategy. If you didn't enjoy it, this probably wouldn't be a series you would have made it this far in. So anyways, that being said, thank you for watching. I hope that you enjoyed this episode of the Icenia campaign. And next episode, we will probably start the Northern War once we are in the right position, and we will get into that next time. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time.